Boundaries are important to have, and they are an essential part of taking care of yourself. Without boundaries, it is very possible to emotionally drain yourself from relationships. Boundaries can be emotional or physical depending on what you set your personal boundaries as. Boundaries can vary depending on the sort of relationship you have with someone and can include things such as your own personal space and how others speak to you. For example, there are 3 different levels of boundaries, which include open boundaries, flexible boundaries, and closed boundaries. Let's explore these boundaries some more. Open boundaries are the most transparent of any boundary. This level of transparency is best to those you trust the most. These could be people you have complete confidence with to know the most about you, which can include close friends and family, or anyone else in your life you trust this much. Examples of this level of boundaries is perhaps letting close friends of yours call you by a certain nickname. To most people, being called a nickname saved exclusively for close friends can be uncomfortable. This can also include things such as physical contact. Most people would agree that someone you're not too close with giving you a hug would be uncomfortable. This also doesn't have to be boundaries for other people. These can also be boundaries you set for yourself, such as sharing personal information. Some topics, such as serious or embarrassing topics, would be better left for friends or family you trust knowing that information. Flexible boundaries are a step higher than open boundaries. Flexible boundaries would be best reserved for people such as friends you're not so close with and coworkers or anyone else in a professional setting. Ultimately, though, it's up to your comfort level on how much you trust someone to set these boundaries. A good way to imagine flexible boundaries is to imagine 2 coworkers, both spend a lot of time with each other and definitely trust each other to a certain extent with info about themselves. Perhaps coworker A is okay with sharing some information, such as their favorite video games or what their family was up to for the weekend. However, when coworker B asks to know more of coworker A's relationship and why they don't talk about their partner as much as some people do, that might be a step too far for coworker A and makes them feel uncomfortable. Another example is to think about maybe you're in a group or club you go to weekly and you have some friends that you see once a week to talk about topics and interests everyone has in common. You like the time that you spend together, however, you'd only like to keep in touch as a group once a week, as you'd like to keep your time you have outside the group reserved for your closest friends, school, and work. This is an example of setting a boundary with people as you're not comfortable spending more time with than your weekly meeting together. It's okay to not spend every second of your time with someone. Closed boundaries are boundaries reserved for those you don't really trust. This can be people such as strangers, people that make you uncomfortable, or private information you just don't feel like sharing with anyone. Closed boundaries can also include things such as topics you absolutely don't want to talk about with anyone that makes you uncomfortable. Setting closed boundaries is important as it's the most common boundary most people set in their day-to-day life. They protect you from sharing sensitive information from those you do not trust and are one of the most common types of boundaries you will use in your daily life. Boundaries are some of the most important things a person can have. Without setting boundaries, you can become overwhelmed with stress and anxiety, as well as a general feeling of discomfort. It's important to set these boundaries not only for others, but for yourself, such as things like not responding immediately to people the second you get a message, or even just saying no to errands that you can't finish.